In these clips, we see whales swimming in the ocean. Unfortunately, they suffered many deaths during World War II due to their mistaken appearance for Axis submarines. Many were attacked by Allied anti-submarine patrol aircraft. The intent of this video is to review the characteristics of U-boats and whales, maritime anti-submarine tactics and weapons used to attack U-boats. This video was developed based on viewer comments from the channel Searchlight Countermeasures video, where the topic of attacking whales was shown below the topic regarding how bomber crews defeated searchlights by dropping beer bottles. The page is within the 1945 declassified Military Intelligence Service Air Information Bulletin titled Timely Tactical Topics 2. Whales resemble submarines, especially killer whales. Many whales have been attacked by death bombs. A whale's back has a similar appearance to a U-boat. A whale spouting water while exhaling may be mistaken for a U-boat blowing its tanks, or a whale's extended fin for a periscope. An attacked whale may release oil which rises to the surface and will have characteristics of a submarine oil tank release. Whales may spend 8 to 9 minutes on the surface spouting. They sleep on the surface with their nose and fins above the waterline. This page lists characteristics of submarines as defined in this 1945 21st Bomber Command document titled Ship Shapes for B-29 Crews. If a B-29 blister gunner sights a Japanese submarine, they are to note its position for comparison to U.S. submarine locations. Submarines will appear long and thin. The above waterline features will not be distinguishable. A bulge midship may be visible. This page from a U.S. Navy document titled Submarine Recognition Manual outlines visual similarities and differences of submarines and whales. A U-boat should have visible wakes or water disturbances at the submarine's stern, hull sides, and bow. This image shows the wakes and hull water disturbances as viewed from altitudes of 500, 5,000, and 15,000 feet. This image shows the submarine's water disturbances remaining during and after a dive. The next 3 pages show images of submarines versus whales side by side. Breaching the surface, submarine versus whale. In transition between surfacing or diving, submarine versus whale. Traveling on or near the surface, submarine versus whale. One major difference is whales leave no trailing wake. This page from a July 1943 Navy Office Anti-Submarine Division document titled Southwest Pacific Anti-Submarine Report reviews how whales have been misidentified for submarines. Fin and humpback whales have been concentrating at Jarvis Bay and Point Clotes. These locations are identified on this map. When a whale surfaces, this is when they are most likely to be misidentified as a submarine. Fin whale exposure duration is around 3 to 6 seconds. A whale will produce little sea foam and their tails leave a small swirl at the surface. Whale oils are contained in their blubber, and it is unlikely oil will be seen on the surface with sufficient quantity, even if the whale is injured or killed by depth bombs. Living, non-injured whales will not leave an oily residue on the surface. This image shows classic oily residue leaking from an attacked U-boat. Oil bubbles rise to the surface and spread out after a minute or so. This image shows various types of whales and their body surface exposure. It is likely the submarine misidentification sightings and attack weapons platform will be the maritime patrol aircraft, like this PB-4Y-1, PB-4Y-2, or PBY Catalina. All these planes carried crew members who were responsible for scanning the sea surface for submarine contacts. This image from a July 1943 Army Air Force's Anti-Submarine Command Monthly Intelligence Report outlines the range and home bases for maritime patrol aircraft as of July 31, 1943. The Mid-Atlantic Gap is shaded here. Under good visibility conditions, the patrol aircraft will fly at an altitude of 5,000 feet. The distance a U-boat can be found is dependent on visibility conditions and altitude, as shown on this table from a January 1945 United States Fleet Navy document titled United States Fleet Anti-Submarine and Escort of Convoy Instructions. The expected surface moving submarine pickup distance for a patrol aircraft traveling at a 5,000-foot altitude is 23 nautical miles, for an atmospheric visibility distance of 50 miles. Once a submarine has been identified, the aircraft will quickly vector to the U-boat and attack. The plane will attack the submarine, or misidentified whale, with all of its offensive weapons available, as defined on this page from a 1945 United States Fleet document titled Current Tactical Orders and Doctrine, U.S. Fleet. Aircraft will typically attack the submarine with depth bombs and machine gun fire. These images show depth bombs being loaded on a Catalina's wing or in the bomb racks of a B-24 or PB-4Y-1. Characteristics and features of the Mark 47 aircraft drop depth bombs are shown on this page from a September 1945 United States Navy bomb disposal document titled Bombs and Fuses Pyrotechnics. The depth bomb is 49.9 inches in length and 15 inches in diameter. Its weight equates to 355 pounds, and it contains 252 pounds of a Torpex compound explosive fill. The bomb detonates by triggering the Mark 234 hydrostatic fuse. The fuse will start the bomb's explosive-filled detonation train when at a water depth of 25 feet. The bombardier will need to account for the 35 feet forward underwater travel of the depth bomb at splash entry. This is one reason for the bomb's flat nose to minimize this distance and to minimize skipping at water contact. This chart defines the distance a depth bomb would need to detonate to be submarine lethal. The x-axis is the weight of the detonation charge. The y-axis is the distance of the submarine's pressure hole to cause lethal rupture. The curves in the body of the chart represent explosive fill of either TNT or Torpex. For a depth bomb with 252 pounds of Torpex, the lethal range to breach the submarine's pressure hole is 24 feet. The lethal distance to a whale is unknown. In movies, folks seem to catch a lot of fish by underwater explosions. This clip shows the results of dropping a hand grenade next to your boat. Any viewer data or experiences to share would be appreciated. This U-534 museum artifact shows outer hull damage from a depth bomb. This page from an Army Air Force's anti-submarine command document titled Monthly Intelligence Report for June 1943 outlines a typical U-boat attack. A patrolling B-24 picked up a U-boat by radar from an altitude of 3,000 feet. The U-boat was 7 miles out. The pilot identified the U-boat as a fully surfaced German 517-ton class submarine traveling at 8 knots. The B-24 immediately started its attack run. This page shows various German U-boats from an April 1944 Navy Department document titled German and Japanese Submarines and Their Equipment. The 517-ton class is also the Type 7 and was the most numerous German submarine produced. The U-boat opened fire with its 20mm autocannons. The B-24 attacked the U-boat with 7 Mark 47 depth bombs spaced 60 feet apart at a right angle to the submarine, as seen in this bomb placement drawing. The navigator and top turret gunner opened fire with their 50 caliber machine guns, targeting the conning tower and deck. The U-boat broke in half aft of the conning tower. The aft broken section rose 12 feet above the waterline and then sank. Given this description, the U-boat separated around this shaded location, and the aft section lifted, like in this image. The report continues. One of the 20mm shells detonated in the forward part of the B-24's nose. Several crew members were wounded and the plane sustained some damage. The plane did land safely back at base. Although the B-24 did not remain in the area to observe the telltale signs of a sunken U-boat, it is likely the U-boat was sunk given the testimony and photographic evidence as shown in these images. This graph shows the number of whales killed per year from a 2014 International Whaling Commission study. The x-axis is the year from 1921 to 1991. The y-axis is the number and type of whales harvested from 0 to 82,000. During World War II, the number of whales killed dropped dramatically to around 10,000 per year. Whales killed by military action are not represented in this chart. Whaling fleets appear to have stood down during World War II. This page from a May 1946 Naval Personnel Information Bulletin outlines the number and source of Axis U-boats sunk in World War II. Of the 996 Axis submarines sunk, 781 were German, 130 were Japanese, and 85 were Italian. Unfortunately, no statistics could be found regarding the number of whales injured or killed by mistaken identity. If you found this whale submarine misidentification video worthy, please consider liking, commenting, and/or subscribing to the channel World War II U.S. Bombers.